Hi. So we just actually went live. I just
Oh,
seeing as we're all here, and like Dr. Alu said, it would be nice to see if anyone joins early and we could just start some sort of conversation. So because the time we have is quite short, and it would be good to
Mm.
just get started early.
mhm.
So we are currently streaming.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. Osaragwe, do you want to answer Dr. Alo's question if you are in the
Sure,
space?
sure.
If and how
Can
you
you guys hear me? Good evening, good afternoon. Can you hear? Oh, fantastic.
Yes,
Okay,
can hear you.
so I work within the edutech space. I'm a certified neuro linguistic practitioner. Plus, I'm also yes, and I'm also into agriculture as well. Um, I've
Okay.
been working within the edutech space for like 5 years. So I typically help professionals, specifically middle level professionals, assess fully accredited American degree programs at highly subsidized rate. So that's pretty much what I've been doing in the last 5 years.
Okay.
But I'm pivoting towards food systems,
Right.
because there's an impending food crisis coming. And so
Mhm.
I want to be able to provide solutions in that. My background is in agricultural economics, but over the last 5 years, I've just been within the edutech space. So I'm pivoting back to my
Good.
background. So,
You're
yeah.
fantastic. Right. Um, so, excuse me, pardon me. So, thank you to yourself, Osa, and to Fumi for sharing. So, I guess it falls to me to explain who I am. So, with respect to myself, I'll describe myself first as a geographer. And what I try to do is I attempt to better understand people and understand why they do some of the things they do. Um, the core of my research work that I did for my doctoral was focused on Africa and focused specifically around Nigeria. And the essence of it was to better understand how people do the things they do. So in 2016, I worked on a financial inclusion access study. Um, I think Imade will remember part of that work that I was doing back then. And I worked across Nigeria and Turkey. And the essence of that was to better understand how people, particularly from the informal sector, access or better understand who they are with regards financial systems and how they perceive themselves with respect to accessing these different types of financial resources that may be available to them. And one of the things that became very clear is that for the informal sector party, there's a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of misrepresentation. And because many of these people tend to be aspirational, they don't want to tell you the truth to who they might be, right? And if perchance you're trying to engage with them, it becomes a bigger uphill task in attempting to try to understand what exactly they might need. So I spent from about 2016 till date looking and attempting to refine better how does one facilitate a consumer driven engagement in Nigeria, particularly because we tend to do a lot of things that are not necessarily consumer driven. We tend to do it from a product or from a service driven standpoint, whereby we're saying to you, as a service provider, oh, this is what you should do. Whereas as the consumer, we don't understand what exactly you want. And that affects, more importantly, how you try to engage with the rural economy as well, because they have a particular need and there's a particular requirement regarding how you engage with them. And if you don't understand how to engage with them, you end up doing the wrong thing and you would end up spending your money. They will help you spend the money very, very, very easily, right? But you wouldn't achieve the outcomes you're hoping to achieve. So for me, over the years, it's been looking into how do you improve that, and that's influenced a lot of things we do from the viewpoint of services we run. And right now, we are in the process of working with the Niger state government and a number of other northern states in Nigeria to run what's called an economic revitalization program, which looks at a number of commercial focused engagements around agriculture. But more importantly, on the back of every single program that we engage on, there's a social compact. The social compact is a promise to do something for the host community. But to do that, you need to understand what that host community has a requirement for and what the people have a requirement for, so that you then build that into the scope of whatever it is that you're trying to do from a commercial standpoint, so that what you have is a commercially viable product or commercially viable service able to meet social requirements as well. That way you're able to drive true impact effectively.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Alo. That was very insightful. The work that you do is really, really amazing. I think I would just go to Imade so she does her own introduction, and we know that we're done with introductions. But yeah.
Sorry, please, can you check? I think Naomi is trying to join in as well.
I'm not
Maybe you can
seeing
just
her
check
on
that.
I'm not seeing her on the list. Maybe it's network. But once she joins, I would definitely
Okay.
let her in.
Okay. So, of course, Imade from Tech Africa as well. And like Dr. Alo said, we have been working on this for a number of years. And then we've come from different perspectives. So he's come from research. I've also come from project implementation itself, just seeing how to engage people generally. And the better part of last year, we engaged rural communities, about 18 communities, and we just saw that it was doable. But we go into meetings and people sound like the problems are so enormous and there are no solutions. And you're there wondering how come this is a no-brainer right there. And I realized that it's just the experiences that come into play, because I've done strategy, I've done projects, I've done monitoring and evaluation, I've done change management over the course of 20 years. So you find out that those experiences add up when you're doing your program design. So for us at Tech Africa, we're just looking to see how can we better ensure that programs yield results. Like he was saying, that we don't just tick the boxes of activity done, project completed, and in 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you can't see the transformational changes in their lives. So for us, it's just simply saying, in our jurisdiction, for what we're focusing on, how do we better ensure that women in those rural communities have access to information, tools that they need to actually make better decisions and actually change the course of their lives. And that's been our journey so far, which has led us here today. And just speaking about research, like Dr. Alo mentioned, it's very important. I was at a meeting earlier today, and we're talking about the fact that sometimes we believe perception so much that we don't check the data. So we go into rooms and conversations with things that we have heard. So there's been a data that somebody has cooked up in their rooms, in their offices, and it's just widespread. And then we believe those data as the reality. And then you go into those communities with your full chest, claiming something that you haven't validated, right? And then you work on those information and data that you have, and everything just goes down the drain. So yes, it's been a journey of over almost 20 years. And we're just looking forward to seeing how can we consolidate experiences, how can we bring people of like minds together, how can we better explore data for acute programming. So that's in my day, always looking to solve a problem.
I can attest to that. Okay, so I think at this point I would just, welcome our audience who have joined the live stream. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined so far, and happy International Women's Day, of course, right? So I would just go into a bit of an introduction into what we do at Tech Africa. Tech Africa is a social impact organization that is striving to bridge the digital divide and also contributing to breaking the circle of poverty for women and girls in rural African communities through digital and financial inclusion. So because I do this introduction a lot at events, at programs and all of that, what I like to say is that we're providing digital access to rural African women who are engaged in trade and agriculture to promote their digital and financial inclusion, right? And by providing farmers and traders, especially these women in rural Africa, with the information, with the digital tools, smartphones, digital and financial literacy training, access to financial services, an e-commerce platform, and other resources that they need to enhance their farming and business activities and sell more of their products at competitive prices. We're reducing poverty, we're reducing post-harvest waste, we're contributing to food security, we're promoting social inclusion and advancing digital equity. So I was very excited when Osarigwe said she was heading back into the agricultural space because of current food insecurity in Nigeria. So yes, welcome back, right? But yeah, our mission is basically to advance the growth of women-led businesses in rural and underserved communities in Africa, especially leveraging technology. So we're working towards a continent where women and girls in rural and underserved communities in Africa are enabled to prosper in the digital economy. And yes, it's intentional that I keep repeating the word rural, because those are our primary focus, right? Those are our primary focus. And then one of our major initiatives, which is the Equip Her for Growth, which encompasses a comprehensive program that attests or that tackles all of these things, won the SDG Digital Game Changers Award in the People's category, which was awarded by the ITU, International Telecommunication Union of the UN. And so far, Tech Africa, we have helped improve the digital and financial literacy as well as income for over 4,000 rural women. So for everyone who has joined so far, thank you so much. This is a ground. When Imade first brought the idea of the book, I was like, oh my God. And then when I actually read the contents that all of our contributors had put into this book, and then it was now my turn to add, I was like, what do I even need to add? This book is like mind-blowing on its own. And we can even show the evidence that I told her that, oh my God, this book is, it's something we need to put out there, and it's really, it has a wealth of knowledge, right? It's something that other change makers need to know about. So I'm actually excited about today. I've had like a really long day, but I wasn't missing this for anything, because when they say groundbreaking event, this is a groundbreaking event for us at Tech Africa. But yeah, this is a groundbreaking event. And just because, we have very limited time here, I will just go into some of the questions that we have for the speakers here today. So Imade, the first question goes to you. Can you please give us a summary of the book, explain the rationale behind Tech Africa's decision to publish it? I mean, I can say that I was the one that pushed for the rationale to publish it, but she's going to talk about that. Imade, are you here with us? Okay.
I think your connection may have frozen for a bit.
Yeah. Okay. I guess when she gets back, we would get back to that question. But I will move on to Dr. Alo now and ask, could you recount your experience when you were contributing insights for the book and elaborate on the emotions it stirred within you?
Right. So like I was saying earlier, when I was trying to introduce some of the things I've done or I've been working on from an understudy standpoint, for me, one of the first emotions that it will always evoke is that of concern. And the reason why it's of that of concern is that the formal economy tends to always misunderstand and misrepresent the informal economy. And like Imade was mentioning earlier, whereby we have certain perspectives or certain perceptions of the informal economy, we end up using those perceptions to try to engage with these individuals, not realizing that they might actually be better coordinated and better organized than the formal economy. So when I was speaking about what I think or what I have learned, right, from experience and by working with many of the people from the rural economy, what I thought were the key points. I focused on key learning points that I've had to experience. And the funny thing about these people is that when they're putting you through these experiences, they won't let you realize that they are intentionally letting you go through many of these experiences to look at what's your response and how do you react. And effectively, like I said to you, Madi, there are two key things that I focused on. One is trust, because trust is the biggest currency that they have within their industry or within whatever it is they do. And then the second is being able to learn from our end to respect the structures that they have. Because again, we tend to try to think that we have better structures or better processes. But what we then find is that when we get into their system, they end up circumventing what we thought was a good structure because they are used to their structure and we fail to understand how that structure operates. We end up getting burnt. So for me, it's about trying to learn what those structures look like, adapt what you have to their structure, and then look at how you can then deliver it to them. That way, you effectively innovate with them. So for me, again, like coming back to the question, it evokes the sense of learning, but it also evokes the opportunity to innovate.
Okay, that's very amazing, Dr. Alo. I love that you said that, the sense to innovate is one of the things that it provokes in you. So it means that as change makers, whenever we're, implementing whatever programs that we have, which is actually one of the points in the book, we need to get a sense or get into a point where we easily adapt to whatever changing or cultural influences that there may be, and then be able to innovate, and especially innovate most times on the spot. I will go back to Imade. Imade, are you back with us?
Yes, hopefully,
Okay.
if the network
While I
permits. Yes,
still
but can
have
you hear me
you,
though?
I was asking the question about if you could give us a summary of the book and explain the rationale behind Tech Africa's decision to publish it.
Okay, so
The forces, because what is going on? Okay, so I would move on to Fumi now. Fumi, so I would speak from my own experience and then ask you the question. So I remember when we were trying to design the book cover and we spoke with the graphics designer and he told us, oh, our ideas, the book cover is going to be too busy and everything. And I was like, do what we are saying first. So I actually wrote out, okay, this should be this should be this, and this should be this. And then I was like, just do it first. Let's see, right? Let us just see. And it actually came out pretty good. So yeah, I just want to ask, what your thoughts are about the book cover, because it's very interesting, right? It's very interesting. So I want to know what is the reason behind choosing this particular cover and what this cover represents and how you would want people who see it to react. Because like I said, it's it might seem like a lot to some people, but there's an emotion that we're trying to evoke. There's something we want you to see beyond it just being a book cover. So just tell us about, the inspiration behind the book cover.
Okay, that's interesting. Uh, so let me tell you what it does for me. So you see the woman, you can't see her face; it's not fully formed, right? But you see three women clearly displayed on the image, and it reminds me of a Yoruba adage that says "Iran meta obodo toshi." What that means is that three generations must not lavish in poverty. So technically, we're saying by the time you get to the third or fourth, shall break it. Like you must not continue the cycle. You must break it. So for me, it felt like the woman we are yet to see is a woman that carries the story of three generations before her. And if you think of generations, even just piggybacking on what Dr. Alos shared, there are existing systems, most of which sometimes those of us who spend majority of our time in formal sector, when you engage in informal sector, you come almost like a demigod. You know, you're like, we know how we've cracked it. You have to do it that way. You have to do it this way. But the truth is, there are enormous generational knowledge sitting within that space that you need to leverage. So for me, what I just thought literally was, okay, we're getting to a space where we can leverage this 3 generation of women who have been through this pain, who have been through this frustration, and we can leverage their wealth of understanding based on the opportunities we also have as change makers entering those communities. It's like we're pulling all the pieces of the puzzle together for them so that you can birth a 4th generation of a woman who can thrive, who can succeed. So for me, that was immediately I saw it, it was the Yoruba date that came to mind literally, and I'm like, I love the fact that the woman is coming. You can see you can see the shape of her face, you can see the nose, you can see the hair, but you've not seen her. And what we're trying to do, for me, just felt like we're trying to pull all the pieces together, all the wealth of experience that sits there, and then to create this new woman, this new African woman we want to see. It does feel like a lot of work, to be frank. It feels like a lot of work. But at the same time, I think that we are in very good times. And I think for us, for me personally, I don't see it as I see it as a privilege that, we're having the opportunity to contribute our own quota to create this 4th or this new generation of the African woman that is in that rural community that is usually underestimated, undervalued, ignored for whatever reason we give. You say she's not literate enough, and then we assume she doesn't know what she's doing. We say, oh, she's not exposed enough, then it's like, who's going to deal with that? So for me, the cover just speaks a lot to the new woman we can create, the new woman we can all birth. And it's not just so much of one person, but it's everybody playing a critical role in making that happen. So, sorry, the cover was quite emotional for me. So we can go on about this cover all day. Yeah, it was very emotional.
Okay, that's actually the point. I love that it did that for you. And Imade, do I have you now? I'm not going to repeat the question. Just say whatever comes to your head before I lose you.
Okay, yes, I remember you were asking why we want to publish the book, right?
Yeah.
And like I was sharing initially, we have gone to over 18 communities. We have done this, most of us, at different times over the last 20 years, right? And we just see that for us at Tech Africa, it looks like despite the challenges, we're consistently getting it right. And but when we go into other spaces, we hear complaints how hard it was and all of that. So we started to ask ourselves, what were we doing differently? And we realized that the program design, the quality of people, our experiences, our understanding was like a game changer. And like Fumi said, it's a lot of work for us to achieve this new woman. And for us, it's how can we get more change makers to get it right? Because the challenges are there, we are still learning, it will always come, but there are some basic principles and fundamentals that must be put into consideration. Trust issues, program design, change management, risk management, understanding the community and what their needs are and stuff like that. And we just say, we can't keep this gem to ourselves. How do we get more change makers, getting these experiences, learning these things, so that when they are going into the field, they know what to expect, and they are like better prepared to do things that actually yield results. So in summary, we just want more people to achieve impact with their initiatives and programs. And we know that with this book, you face issues, don't get me wrong, but you're better prepared. You come out strong to execute your initiatives. So that's why we said, okay, let's do this. Let's publish the book and let's get more people learning what we already know. And let's see how we can create that snowball of effect and impact for Nigeria in the first instance.
All right, thank you, Imade. Thank you so much. And like you said, just so that they can create more impact, because we find that there are organizations, there are change makers actually out there trying to do the work, but at the end of the day, you see that they are not achieving as much as they are supposed to, right? So that's what really the book is about. So, going back to my experience of the first time I read the book and sent, I think it was like midnight. It was something I just had to do because it was on my task list. And then I sent Imade email. I had not even gone into like the depth of the book. I was still like page 3, 4, 5, 6. But from just reading the beginning alone, I saw that, oh, obviously the rest of the book would be really, really educating. I was like, oh my God, because I think we had a previous conversation and we're talking about how, we're going to make the book free and all of that. So I was telling him a day after I had read a couple of pages that as much as, yes, we want to do good and we want to make sure that change makers actually learn, but we can't offer these gems for free. So, Osarikwe, just tell me, what were your thoughts when you read the book? What insights? What came to you? Because, like I said, I was blown. And maybe I don't think it's because it's like a Tech Africa thing, and I am a representation of Tech Africa. But just tell us what your thoughts were.
Okay, so thank you so much, sorry for that question. Can everyone hear me? I just want to
Yes.
Fantastic. So I think when Imade had sent me the cover, it was the cover at first, right? I'll speak about the book, but when she sent me the cover, I was like, oh my God, this is really nice. I like the idea of the lady not fully formed, and having the three ladies within it, then having the chains underneath it, like that's breaking the barriers. And I was saying to her that I said to her immediately, like, this thing should be talked about in the next coming Women's International Day, because I just feel like it looked like how women, we are redefining our story even from our history. We're redefining our stories even from our history. That was like the first thing that came to mind by just seeing the book cover, and I felt it was just telling a story. And I remember reaching out to Imade, I think probably yesterday, and I was saying to her that, man, this book is so good. It's so good to the point that okay, so I didn't read, I listen, because I'm more of an auditory learner. So when I listen to things, I'm able to pen pictures in my head. I learn faster that way. And so I was saying to her that, just listening to the book, I could just even pick business concepts from it, although it wasn't talking about business. And, when it talked about, communication, that communication had to be effective, and, you had to like come down to the level of the people you were trying to educate. Talking about, the intersections of the women, that, there were different categories by age, by religion, so it's not a one size fits all. And so even as you are creating projects or programs, you have to take those things into cognizance. And one part that like blew my
Yeah, the network just blew our mind as well. But she's back.
So there was a part of it that talked about, incorporating men into it. Ideally, when you hear about rural projects, and people might not necessarily think, oh, what's a man going to do, and what's a man's business with it? But that particular point, or that particular tactic, it just made me realize it's true, because for the women, they also want to get the support of their spouse, or the support of the male figure in their lives, to be able to just have that sort of support system as they do what they do, and also understanding the dynamics within the home. There was a part of the book that talked about some men being afraid that when their wives are financially empowered, there's no sense of respect for them anymore. Just having to just help the men understand that, okay, with this, if your wife is empowered, your economic situation at home will be better. There's so many aspects of it, even as well as the stakeholders within the community sometimes, and it's not like they don't want those change to come in, but in some ways you have to be very tactical in just incentivizing them to just embrace the change that you're bringing. So the book is amazing. Trust me. And I was saying to her that reading it, I could literally feel the blood, sweat, and tears that you guys on the field were going through. It was not like it was stated, but I could just, because I told you I'm an auditory learner, so I hear things and I see pictures in my mind, just like words paint pictures for me, you know. And I was like, thank you, because this almost 2 decades of work is the reason why most people coming into the change making space, their work will be relatively easier, because they won't have to go through the struggles that you guys had to go through. And so thank you guys for birthing this book. So yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Osaragwe. So we are running a bit behind time. And so today we're not just launching the book, but we're also inaugurating the rural community of practice. So Imade, tell us, what is the rural community of practice of Nigeria?
Okay. So like the name implies, it's a community of people. But in this instance, we have narrowed it down to people who are interested in rural development projects, people who are currently implementing those kinds of projects, NGOs or CSOs who are rural community focused. And for us, it's just to bring together people on the same mission and ensure that they have a community where they can share experiences, they can share data and insights, they can share resources, they can collaborate, they can partner. There was a part in the book, I think in the beginning part, where we actually mentioned that the change we want to see, one person cannot create it. Usually for outcomes requires multiple people and multiple players in the field to give you certain outcomes. One person cannot reduce poverty. One person cannot break the digital illiteracy. It has to be a group of people working towards the same mission. And that's what we want to actually achieve. People of like minds on the same mission, enjoying the support that we don't currently have the way we want it. And we want to create that support system where you have your sisters, your brothers. So like I also shared earlier, men are welcome, women are welcome, as long as you're a change maker or an organization who wants to work in rural settings. This community is actually for you. And you just see the magic we created just by calling Fumi and Alo and Osarabia and Esoy and Evie to say, let's write this book. Just imagine the kind of change that can happen. If you have 100 Imade, 100 Alo, 100 Fumi, 100 Esoy, 100 Osarabia working on the same mission and sharing resources. So that's the community. It's the first of its kind, I hope. I'm really proud, bragging rights here. But yes, we just want to have a family of people that would work together with us to achieve the desires of their hearts for those in the rural communities.
All right, thank you so much, Imade. Dr. Ado, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, so I'll say a few things. So on the back of what Imade said, there's a lot of work that is possible when people collaborate. And I think one of the things that is being said nowadays more of is the need for collaboration, right? More importantly, we have an economy that has a larger part of it that is not properly harnessed, neither is it properly catered to. Right now, we're hoping that by establishing and operating together as a community of professionals and a community of implementers, it becomes possible to build a stronger economy, a stronger cohesive community, but more importantly, ensure that the projects, the engagements that are engaged upon are effective, because that's the most important thing. Being able to have a service or an engagement that really touches the needs of the people, and ensuring that everyone knows where the last program stopped from, so that rather than have a replication of things, you have a continuity of things.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alo. So we are at 7:31. So Fumi, just give us your last words and then I would do the final.
Okay, thank you so much. I think the key word again stands out is the need for collaboration. And I always feel like I should not say that again. But beyond collaboration, I think this is a call for people who don't want to walk alone. Now, I almost feel like that sounds like Liverpool or what now. Never walk alone. Or, I don't know. A call for individuals who want to make significant change and don't want to do it alone. I know that sometimes this requires us to take a posture of humility. And sometimes people will look at us and say, oh, you're collaborating. Are you not being naive? I think we have to get to a place where the social problems that exist in this continent, we accept that it's greater than one person.
Yeah.
And the moment we realize that collaborating, getting this done and not doing it alone means that we're also protecting our children's future. Because literally, if we don't, I don't know how many banana islands we can build. I don't know how many Maitamas and Aso Rocks you can build. The fact is, too many of our people live in abject poverty. Too many of our women and their children are ignored and forgotten. So for those of us who are serious about this, those of us who dream of a prosperous Africa, I think this community of practice is a call to action. It's a call to challenge us to say, you've always said it in your small group, you've always talked about it to your friends, you've always probably also complained about Nigeria. Now it's time to get your hands dirty and get the job done the real way. And so I think that's what this call really is to get ourselves ready to do the work, because we have to fix it. Nobody's coming to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves.
Yes.
So I think that's it. And that's the journey I really, really look forward to. Yes, there's so much impact we would all be able to make together. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Fumi. Thank you. In fact, you've said it all at this point. You've actually said it all, and that's, great, gave a great end to this. I want to thank all of our speakers here today for taking out time to be with us. And to everyone who joined us, thank you so much. Obviously, you can see the wealth of knowledge. You can see the wealth of expertise. You can see the caliber of people that would, be at the helm of affairs of this community. So if you want to join the community, the link is on the screen right now. You can, try to copy it. I've also put it in the comment section on Instagram. So you could just copy it, fill the form, and you get automatically redirected to the group for the community. And then, of course, seeing as this is the launch of the book, the guide, this book that we have talked about so much, it is currently on sale at, a very, very discounted price. Like I said, we're thinking of, giving it out for free, but we're like, no, we can't do that. So yes, it's currently on sale, and the link is it's going up on our screens right now. And you can just go and purchase the book. It's 1999. It's 2,000 naira basically. So it's not a lot, right? But it contains, like you have already heard from everyone here today, it contains amazing insights into what you need to do as a change maker to make sure that you're getting impact, or you're getting impact from all of the programs that you're implementing. So thank you to everyone for joining. Have an amazing evening. Happy International Women's Day. And TGIF is also TGIF. So yes, enjoy your Friday night.
What's TGI? We don't get what's TGI? We don't understand.
TGIF. Thank God.
Yeah, what's TGIF? Oh, I didn't know that.
Friday. Oh
really?
God.
We didn't know.
Okay.
All right, thank
so
you
much,
everyone. So let's
for
order the
joining.
book. Let's join the
Yes,
community.
please.
Just do
Yes,
take
this
action
is actually
now.
the launch price, so it's
Yes.
buy it now, basically.
Buy it now, because in 10 minutes the price goes up. So buy it now.
Grab your coffee
Thank you.
now.
Now. Otherwise, the
All
price
right,
will
thank you,
increase. Your
everyone.
dollar price
Bye.
is fluctuating.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing evening, and
Thank
happy
you,
International
everyone.
Women's Day to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
Bye. No, picture.
Bye.
So I do take a screenshot.
Okay.
Picture time. Sorry. All right, everybody should smile. Cheese. Oh, you're already
Let's
know
see
me.
all our smiles. Dr. Ado is trying not to smile, and
That's how I smile. Don't worry.
I
we got
am
you.